channel. Even Steve-O, he just came back from Canada. He went all across Canada. He's on it. Steve-O. Robbie Newell, he just bought some $1 million house. He's a big guy here in Canada. Astro AI. They're a brand new company, corporation. They got these mini fridges. That's blowing up. Gal Strong. Learning from jail, you can do it on my channel. You don't gotta go to jail no more. You can learn it on my channel. Meet the real correctional officers, law enforcement, police, probation officers. You can meet some of them on my channel. And FBI agents. Even Ben Mala, who's a real estate investor. You got your mukbangs or whatever if you're into that. All different stuff going on. And a lot of new music videos to come out. If you like the music videos. And a lot of old, if you're big into them. But I got a lot of old music videos too. And then I'm doing a lot of Amazon videos now as well. Man, I say videos way too much. He's got the Amazon new, what would be the words for it? Amazon, well, it's the affiliate associate program or whatever. Eventually I'm going to go on there. So, but for now, he's just kind of like content creating these awesome Amazon videos that have never been, when you searched up products on Amazon and YouTube, it used to be some slideshow stuff. Believe it or not, there was no one doing it like I'm doing it with the HD 1080 or whatever. Everybody else is doing slideshows, Amazon slideshows and all that, Lincoln and all that. But he orders Amazon too, and there's the recent one. You got to get that Rings of Power. Watch that Rings of Power. It's on that Prime Video. But other than Prime Video on YouTube, it's Stacks a Milli. You can find my channel just by searching up Stacks a Milli. I got official music videos with Tupac, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, G Unit, Fat Joe, Birdman, Lil Jon, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, they even sent me $36 a couple of years ago before the vice president became the vice president. I had gotten a donation from, it wasn't Kamala Harris, but it was somebody with the last name Harris in Louisiana, $36. So shout out to the Harrises. T.I. also is a Harris. Good to see that families are all getting together nationwide. That's the Harris family. I mean, we're up to that point now, we understand that they're related, being the Harrises or the Harris-eyes. Ice Cube, I got some classic Ice Cube stuff. Now, I didn't actually take the pictures, but I was the one that formulated the music videos of these online pictures that you can find individually. These GIFs, these animated pictures. And then I put it to the music and clicked through it at the right times and created the music videos and all that. It goes with it and whatnot. It's like a computer-generated music video. They never had them before. There was all types of exclusive video and picture clips and all that never made it on YouTube of all your famous, all your more favorite ones, including Obama. These ones are going to get big over the course of years, like a 10-year, 15-year, 25-year, whatever. Those will get big. Their videos show they're exclusive. When you're talking exclusive and you can't find that video anywhere else of like a person like an Obama or any of these other ones, it's highly valued when it's an exclusive video. There's some people that do the reposting. My stuff's bigger than just reposting. It's its own video. I also do this thing. I bring pictures to life and I bring pictures to video. So if somebody has a picture, I can make it look like a video and all that sort of. So he does that. He does the governmental thing. He's not imposing any laws, but I'm very decent at explaining the certain certain things under law that are here in Canada. We needed somebody that could do that. There was not a lot of people to do that. He's been enjoying his games. He's had the Werther's original before. This would be something for Justin to have in his desk. Justin's famous for he had a chocolate bar in the desk. Werther's original. It's a good one to have in your desk if you're a person. Sorry, I was always a person with a desk. I loved the desk at school or whatever, and then eventually you get older and you have a desk. And Justin had his desk. That's how they do it over in that Parliament and everything. They have desks and whatnot. They have the ability to put candy on the table or on the desk or in the. It's usually in the desk, similar to how it would be in school. And that's the ones in the higher up government when they're actually getting it in the books and whatnot. And then I am at my own residence, and I create the video HD content similar to what I even got to go down to CBC downtown London. One of the CBC headquarters is, and he got to look at it. And he got to see all the universities. I got to even walk through Ryerson. He got to go to Atlanta, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida. He's went to Alberta. He's been to Saskatchewan. He's been to Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Ontario, North and South. He's been to a lot of places. And through that time, I've gained the ability to be. I even went to school here for digital art and design several times. It was once in Alberta at the Okotoks Junior High School. Everybody was learning Photoshop, and I could, at the time, my brain couldn't even handle it. He went from being a wannabe gangster something to being, oh, I want to learn Photoshop, but it's hard or whatever. And I went to school. All the kids sat down. The teacher said he played this game. It was like 40 players or something. That's what I was into. Same here. I was like, damn, I'm going to play this game or whatever. And the teacher was great, man. You know what he did for me? He brought the cool aspect to it. Like there was other guys, like older guys that were successful too at just doing computers or whatever. So then it kind of wiped out my other guys that I knew, and because like my older brother and stuff, when you're young, I didn't know what I was going to do. But then I started to decide, oh, I got to learn this Photoshop for real. So then I learned the Photoshop for real. I met this guy in Europe, Denmark. And I never talked to any from Denmark. I was from Canada and the United States, and I was going to school in the middle school. But then I realized, I'm going to do Photoshop and all that, so I don't need to be in school in middle school anymore. I found out what I was going to do. So then I went back to Canada, and then I met this guy online in Denmark. He taught me everything in Photoshop. He got to meet the MMG GUNPLAY. We paid $10,000 or whatever to have them up. The Photoshops made me so much money. I recommend you get this Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop. Like the Photoshop, I'm only 150 miles north of the border of the United States. He was like, oh, I love the United States. I got to see Tupac all the way down. I traveled. Me and my dad and my mom and my brother, we traveled in Greyhound bus all the way from New York, Vermont, Maine, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. We went to every single state. Six Flags. We campgrounds. We used to love those United States campgrounds. So we did that. The campgrounds. He learned it all the way up. And then I got to meet Rick Ross at the end of it and all that. And then he's this Rick Ross guy. But he really just started as a kid in America or whatever. And I had a good time in America. We had this road trip, classic American road trip that God allowed us to have. It was classic. And there were so many nice areas. Every area of the United States, a different area. I remember North Carolina and South Carolina. We went to all these outdoor malls. They had all these very nice. That's my first experience with getting to know branding. It was going to like these malls in the United States, like these strip malls, but they were big. I don't know what outlet malls. And you would see the big Nike outlet malls, and you would see the big Gap, whatever. They had all these ones. Bose did a big thing. They had the home theater Bose and all these ones. And when you get to see that, and I think it was a field trip, even in school. When I went to school in Florida, we went to some outlet, and they have it in Canada too. But anyways, and that's how he learned, and then he's been doing the branding ever since. And the branding is what's made him his royalties. That's why I have the energy to even speak this one. It's from, well, I got to go to eat because of royalties that I get off just speaking like this and stuff. But it was in the beginning, like then. I think that's how a lot of the most successful ones that make it. They started out just like everyone. You see it. Oh, it was ones like this. I used to love this. See, this one's in Orlando. You walk around. You make ground. You might. We used to get ice cream. A lot of ice cream. Starbucks wasn't very much in Florida at the time. I think it was up in New York at the time. This was way back. And we had ice cream, a lot of ice creams, and a lot of shopping for shoes. I know I used to have Nikes or whatever, and all that. Lululemon, I remember when that became a big thing, the Lululemon. You got cruising down Figueroa Street in Los Angeles. Oh, I think I've seen these pop up, the new street squid things. It's like girls walking down the street and all that, and stuff like that, while this guy's exploring the streets of certain areas. Oh no, it might be somebody else, but that's been a thing on YouTube recently. I've seen this guy. I don't know if he subscribed to me or what. Team Jesus Freak. Yeah, we were big into Jesus and all that. A lot of outfit videos. Those are big on YouTube. You got World of Warcraft. This is a new person. He never watched Maggie 191. I was watching that PS Hero. He was a rogue. This Maggie looks like they're a warlock. No, it looks like they may be a mage actually, fire mage. A fire mage. I've been playing my mage recently, but he's still arcane. But you can play all different talents on it and all that, which is pretty cool. And I can confirm I've had my account for over 10 years and I still have my WoW account. So you can change your talent whenever you want, all that. As long as you be a good person, you'll be able to keep your WoW account. No condemnation. I loved going to church as a boy. That was the only time I used to get out of the house and not be playing no Xbox or nothing, and being able to go into the church, whatever. They had meals at the church. Meals. We'd eat hot meals like spaghetti, meatballs. Then there was like praising and all that when they would dance and sing. Everybody would dance and sing. Got to meet everybody. And then, what is it called? Yeah, the church was great. And then you would go out on the town. You would go out on the town and all that. There was all types of people. There was girls, boys. My friend Justin Batdorf, his sister even went. A lot of people went to church and all that. They loved church and all that. And all that. It was great. This was down in Florida. I used to go to this Vineyard Community Church. I guess that's one of the most memorable. But I've been going to church since Toronto and Guelph in Canada. Vineyard wasn't the first church I had been to. I don't think it was the first church. It might have been the first church that Justin. I remember when Justin got saved, how real it was when Justin got saved. Like you could see it in, like something was getting removed from his soul or whatever. at the Vineyard. People, yeah, it was like there's like live performances. They had it's a great church. I forgot, but you know what it does? It enlightens you to remember that you went to this church being such a nice church. Like I sit here and I can't believe that I was lucky enough that I got chosen somehow to be able to be in that area at the time I did and get to attend this certain church and that the people perform there and I happen to be lucky enough to be in that specific audience and they welcome you like family and all that. And you don't know where you're at until it's too late. Where some people are there for years. They had a pastor, he came and gone. I remember I was so sad when I seen my what was it called, junior pastor something, when he left the thing and all that. It helped me grow up as a man. We had this it was like a youth pastor. He got all close to his youth pastor, and then next thing you know, his youth pastor got married, and then his youth pastor moved on and all that. But then I thought, oh my gosh, that guy's long gone, and as much as I love that guy. And then I was at Fort Myers getting something to eat at the restaurant, and there he was with his wife. And he reminds me of Jesus. I swear to this day, being up here in Canada, I'm like, I have flashbacks that that was the second coming of Jesus, but I'm fairly sure that it wasn't. It was actually a name, I think it was Pastor David. His name was Pastor David. And man, he was good at teaching the kids when I was down in Florida. Because it's a certain feeling down in Florida at the Vineyard. The Vineyard feels real down there. It's hard to explain. If you go see, you can search up, like it's a little bit different of a feeling up here. We have the pines and whatnots where down there during this it might be December and you're at Vineyard Community Church, but that's, well, no, not December, January even, and it's the vineyard growing and whatnot still, whereas in Canada the vineyard is no longer growing after a certain time. It becomes ice or whatever. So that's your feeling you get down there, because we used to have a house. We had a orange tree. People have orchards. People have orchards and all that, orange trees, and they grow sometimes all year long. Well, they don't. They're on like this seasonal schedule. They have banana trees, all that. But I remember a lot of oranges and a lot of grapefruits and all that. He loved oranges. It was one of my favorite fruits. And they sell them. And when you go down to Florida, you get to know the whole orange trade or whatever. I remember that as a kid, getting to see the orange trade in real life. Now I think back, oh yeah, the orange trade in real life. That's why now I have a firearm and all that. Down in Florida where they have the orange trade, if you're a big time orange trader or whatever, you have a firearm. Like, and then I was this guy that got to go down to Florida as a kid and experience the orange trade, the cotton trade, all that in person. And then I made all these videos and music and all that after I got back to Canada. And he made just as much as a orange trader or whatever. So that's who I am. And I get my disability pension. Like I'm getting old. I am getting my disability pension now, And then before he already made taxed, I already made, when I was younger, he made a couple $100,000 to get my ego off the ground and a couple other royalties in check. And then once he got his royalties, now he's getting his pension, his ODSP, and we'll see how much royalties I end up getting. Congratulations. And then the new RCMP law to go with my new gun and all that. That's been a great thing up here in Canada. We have a lot of apples up here in Canada, eh? And maple syrup. Yes, I'm related to the lady from CBC that you may hear when she says maple syrup or something. We're from Canada. They got apples in Canada, and boy, do I love our apples here in Canada. Smith's apples in my local area. I want that is a big, 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 big thing I want to do. Is go to that Smith's apples and get some apples. It's a famous place in my area where you can go buy apples. It's called Smith's apples. It's one of my favorite fruits. The apple. It's one of my favorite fruits is this apple. This YouTube's great. Sign up for it. You've seen tribal people try. What about Smith's apples? I never went on the Facebook. It was something to see today, the sky. Smith's apples and farm market. I never seen the Facebook, but I've seen the apples. They have a whole range of apples on their website. It's not just the website. You can go in and there's actual apples. So today is one of these days when I can't afford any apples. So I'm the guy that's going on the Smith's Apples website. He's creating this video as he goes and he looks along the Smith's Apples. And believe it or not, one day I'll have enough money for some apples over here. They're not too expensive. And then they have other stuff. I'm not big into pumpkins. My mom, she used to make those baked pumpkin seeds with the salt and all that. And I used to love those. But now it's more about apples as I get older. And then what about the different variations of apples? They got all different variations. And look at how the apple starts. I never seen this before. They have a whole apple orchard over by Smith's Apples. It's the farm. Just outside of Port Elgin. You can look it up on maps. And they have a whole place to buy apples. Apple flowers, I think, is what these are. The apple tree's flowers? I'm not sure. Maybe not. But they have some sort of apples. And I was looking at the pictures on the website. This one looks the best to me. I'm not sure. They had some different apples. They got this. Another sunflower. This is a very mature sunflower. Now that I remember it, they love their sunflowers out here. I remember somewhere around Erin. It was either North Erin or South Erin. Or Erin. There was sunflowers. And now I remember in Ontario, sunflowers are famous. And they got sunflowers over here too. This one. What is this one? The Royal Gala or Gala. Man, this one is the one I want. Even one of them, they look pretty big. And they grow right from the ground. Smith's apples. My uncle such and such has an apple tree. But he doesn't share his apples. My uncle doesn't share his apples with me. But you can buy them at the Smith's Apples. We're trying to load in the website. Jim's dad passed away on Monday. We want to offer our extreme gratitude to the staff at the Southampton Hospital, T.A. Brown Funeral Home, and the Port Elgin Super 8. And then many, many others who have been supporting us and Jim's family at this time. It is a true blessing to live in such a supportive community at times like this. The Macintosh apple, the Macintosh. I'm not sure. The Smith's apples is not loading the website. There it goes. They have a website and there's a menu of all these different specialty apples, what I would say and consider to be specialty apples, but they're just naturally grown apples of different varieties that these people specialize in growing and whatnot. And there's that many people in Ontario that love apples that, believe it or not, they have them. And they're making some sort of, I'm not sure what this is. We're making apple cider. Cider. Just cider, I think this is. Ginger Gold. They're juiced to make a mix of Ginger Gold, Zestar. Oh, these are the type of apples. Zestar and Z-Star and Ginger Gold. Those are all types of apples. It goes through all this processing to make the cider. I heard that before. I used to go to this other place called Andrew Scenic Acres, and I think they're big in apples over there too. But there are two places in Ontario. I used to, when I was younger, I got to go there. Now I want to go to Smith's. Look at this, all different cases of apples. When I was a kid, it's a thing to travel around the farm and do the scenic view. They do that at Andrew Scenic Acres. Now I'm older. I just want to go in, buy my apples, leave. But you want them to be good apples. And they got the good apples. If we can load into the website with all the apples. I think I already did go on the website with all the apples. Our corn maze theme this year is Clue. There's been a pie theft. Only Wadsworth knows the answer. I remember we used to do that on the property too. We had a property like that. But if you didn't, and if you still did, wow. We used to have a property like that or whatever with the snow or whatever. We used to do that with the snow blowers, with all that. And all that. And my dad sold it, and we got to go on all these different educational trips and all that eventually, after we did all that or whatever. But Smiths, they kept it in line, and they're doing their thing, and they're creating apples. And apples are something that sells. I'm sure they sell a lot of apples. Look at these sunflowers. Telephoto Company. It's got a bumblebee on it. Bumblebees are famous in Ontario. They got one on a sunflower. Smith's Apples. And Farm Market. 470 the River Road. I went to a couple. My mom likes to stop at some of them, but we never got apples. She always gets these squashes. But I have an e-bike. One day I may go over to Smith's Apples. One day I may go over to Smith's Apples and grab some apples. If I can ever get on the website to see the apples. Fresh apples, pies. They even have pies. I love pies. Apple pies. And what's the point of buying an apple pie I mean, not buying an apple pie, making it yourself. If they're already making so many pies and they're baking them fresh and they're like this pie that you could dream of, then I would go to Smith's Apples to buy the pie instead of making it yourself. You just buy a pie from Smith's or whatever. I've always been a guy that eats pie and all that. What are you talking about? I used to go to all the different restaurants and always have pie with my food for years and years and years. I did. Apples grown at Smith's. Royal Gala McIntosh. We do not offer PYO Honeycrisp. Apples available in store. Ginger Gold, Royal Gala, Honeycrisp. Oh, they got the Honeycrisp apples. Ginger Gold. These are good. I'm in the mood for a Ginger Gold. And then there's that Royal Gala. We've seen that on the Facebook. The Zest Star. That's the one you would get in the grocery store. Is the Z Star like sort of the Zeller's Dollarama Walmarty type of apple is that one generally. And then you have the more premium Honeycrisp. This one's a good one too, really good one. Macintosh, that one's famous. That's famous. That's the apple from Apple Computers and all that. It's all after that Macintosh apple. They got the Aurora Golden Gala. That's an Asian apple. I did my apple research or whatever, and so have they. They actually grow them, and then here I am. But I don't know this one, the Northern Spy apple, heritage apple. This is a crisp green apple with a purple blue blush, tart flavored with a bit. Oh, you know what apple this is? The one they use for pies and all that, with a bit of spice. And their cider, it says large sized, a traditional choice for baking or cider. This, you know why they use this one? It has this sugar in it that it more caramelizes when you're doing your bacon or your ciders and all that. It's pretty juicy too. Golden Delicious. This one's really nice for just eating with a lunch, like you're having like a turkey sandwich, a good turkey sandwich with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise or whatever, and cheese maybe. And then you have this on the side, a Golden Delicious. Or you could just eat it by itself. Apple storage. Storing apples isn't difficult, but it requires some effort. Ideal storage of apples is between 1 to 3 degrees Celsius, up to 4 degrees Celsius maximum. Reduced oxygen levels is also helpful to keep your apples fresh longer. If you have a spare fridge in the garage, aka a beer fridge, it's the best to store your apples in there if you want them. Yeah, if you didn't hear about that law change, big deal. Why'd you have to mention it in the middle of Smith's apples? Law changes have nothing to do with Smith's apples. This is a business. Kids go there, families go there, men go there, men with children go there. I'm a man that can, exactly, I'm a family man too, just like everyone is. I'm the guy over time in 10, 15 years when this girl's like older. I'm the famous guy that created this big video about Smith's apples. And Smith's apples sold a lot of apples. That's why I'm higher up. But I'm not here to talk the law, and that's why he's higher up too. But that's not what we're here to do. I'm here to buy apples, they're here to sell them. Everything else has nothing to do with us. The law comes out, it's on the news, and we follow that. And that's the law. And that's Smith's Apples, and that's business, and that's the great Justin Trudeau. And that's the RCMP. Man, these apples look good. There's a lot of photos of her. Here's a dog with apples. Do dogs like to eat apples? I'm sure they do. Oh my goodness. I think you can walk around the apples if you wanted to. But eventually, you're going to see a video on my channel. I will maybe go to buy some apples. Maybe eventually. It is much like that with the adventure, the scenic adventures and all that. There's the sunflowers. Corn. They even got corn too. There's another place in Port Elgin that has fresh corn for sale over by the beach. Maybe by next year I'll be able to enjoy the corn over there. The fresh corn, it costs money. The Royal Gala and all that. But corn costs money and so do other things too. So that's why I haven't been eating much corn recently. That's what Dad would tell you. We haven't been eating much corn recently, but generally when you have a young child is the time you're eating a lot of corn and all that because the kids got to eat to grow. But once you get older, corn is a whole process. You get your ears of corn, and much like this, these young men, they're collecting apples. Look at mom. And one day they're going to grow up and, well, they expect that they're going to be able to continue to buy apples here in a, or well, they know they're there to explore, but they know that one day they're going to grow up and get to buy apples too or whatever. And that's who I was. I grew up in Ontario and I got to do all that exploring as a kid. I got to do all that in Ontario. Now I get to be a grown man and buy apples. I don't think I'll be buying a pumpkin though. You need a truck, don't you, to be able to, or a SUV or a car to be able to pick up a pumpkin. I think I might have even been here before. I think I've seen this before. You slide down it and all that, then there's the corn maze and everything. He's been here before when he was a child. A lot of people been here. Dewey, 1967. Yeah, most definitely been here. I think they even have a haunted Smith's haunted something or another. They might have in the past, like a well, you think, well, I don't know. It's not haunted, but it's maze or something like that. My dad used to say it was haunted, even though it's not really haunted. Here's the other side to that cider making operation that they got going on over there. It's a fully legal cider operation. I wonder if it's alcoholic cider or if it's that generally that other cider. I like the fresh cider without any alcohol in it. It's just like this really refreshing. It's this really refreshing, cold. Well, there's all different variations to the apple cider. Well, I guess you didn't know, but I guess I might as well announce it here. That blood alcohol content limit or whatever. They say they may also, and it is, well, they impose it also upon your own residence. You have to stay under the blood alcohol limit even in your own residence, they're saying. Like I've had one beverage today which is alcoholic, but like much like they would pull you over, they're saying in your property where you rent or where you own that you have to be under a certain legal limit that they had just said. They said, well, what if, and I said, I've only had the one drink while I'm doing the videos or whatever. And it's been very slow that I've had that drink. I think over the past 3 hours, he drank one drink, slowly sort of enjoying it or whatever. But I do need some water, some ice water. He does like ice water, but I guess, yeah, you do. Generally, I would recommend to follow the blood alcohol limits, even in your own areas, like your property or your rental or whatever, even your ownage area, complete ownage. Generally, so you stay in a reasonable state or whatever. I've always stayed in a reasonable state. And I was higher than the blood alcohol limit when I had to defend myself, but I was capable of knowing I would have been dead had I have not defended myself that day. He had a firearm, he was going to shoot me. I was in my own residence when it happened. And then I got invited down to grab some tools. Next thing you know, he was at my throat like this. And I was able to break it. He had a gun in the other hand. His name was Phil. I'm lucky he didn't just shoot me and pop me in the head, but I was able to dismantle his arms. Pepper spray. He was much like this, a high aggressor. And I was way under him. And I was able to stop him right in his tracks, get to safety, and then the police came and got me to safety. Then once I got to safety, I was able to show under law what had happened with testimonies that everybody admitted to their guilt, said they were going to kill me, blah, blah, blah. And then I got released from jail. I had this plea deal after trial. He was on bail and he had trial, and then everything went through. He even had a probationary term. And then, well, the ones that had to defend myself, they say their words or whatever, but they haven't. One time he drove by my new apartment, he drove by me or whatever, but other than that, there's been no word of that guy ever since. He's threatened other people from a distance, but they've equipped me with the ability to own a legal firearm now because of their threats. It was well proven. Even ones down in Florida had heard about it, that this guy was a criminal in violation of any laws and blah, blah, blah. But, anyways, in the courts, it was all good. I'm a free man. But sometimes, even being a free man, you're a little bit naive about some men like that big Phil Thompson. That big Phil Thompson, I don't think he'll ever do anything again or whatever, but boy, oh boy, oh boy. He has his whole own area or whatever. And he was very democratic because I didn't die. So he was very democratic with me. He allowed me to live and not die while I was trying to escape from his apartment that I was renting. Well, that would be murder and that would be home invasion and all that, and that's been proven in court. But when it comes down to your Amish rules or whatever, your day to day, there's the court law and then you got the church law that ones are doing it by. And until the police come and get you, you're living by the Amish sort of the city or town law or whatever rules. It's like there's the real law, and then you got all these pops and all these dads and moms and all their families, all these little laws that people put out there. Some people ain't having it. Some people are imposing laws. Some people are following the laws, paying taxes on people. There's all types of these mafioso um, rules and laws that go on. In the cities, it's neighborhood by neighborhood in some areas. Even get-togethers and potlucks and all that can be considered uh, like you attend those things, especially you'll follow these